Hello, I'm Tessa from Wannabesmallholders. Every day, when I have my first cup of tea, I have a little wander around the garden, see what's going on, see what's grown overnight, see what I should be doing during the day if I have time. And they do say that the best compost and the best treatment for all your plants is the gardener's shadow. And today there's going to be quite a bit of sun. There'll be a lot of gardener's shadow as I'm wandering around the garden. So I'm going to take you with me so we can see how things are doing. It's June the 8th. We've had almost 3 months with practically no rain. It's been quite challenging in terms of trying to keep plants watered, especially little seedlings when they're actually starting to germinate. It's quite difficult to make sure they get enough water if they're in the ground. But putting them in the greenhouse, it's really scorched a lot of plants. Every time I put up some sort of shading, it fell off. So I'm quite looking forward to, hopefully there's going to be a bit of rain in the next few days. Rain and warm. It'll be great for the weeds. Weeds actually seem to have no trouble growing in the sunshine anyway, but it will hopefully be good for the plants too. So come with me as we take a little walk around the Wannabesmallholders garden. So one of the first things I'm going to be talking about is the vines. About a month ago I think we had a little wander around the garden, had a look at the vines. They have grown phenomenally well. I've never seen our vines grow like this. We've had them for 4 years, 5 years, something like that, and they're just absolutely dripping with little flower buds and lots of leaves. And I actually we need to tie them up, so we'll have a little look along these. You can see what we need to do, but there's too much foliage. There is definitely too much in the way of berry clusters, so they'll need to be thinned out. But at the moment they just look really lovely and lush and green. I'm quite impressed with our bean structure, but I'll come on to that in a minute. So over here we've got the Portuguese cabbages, which Chris gave me. I've got half a dozen here and another 4 or 5 behind the compost bins. Sunflowers are doing really well. I've tied them up. They seem to be doing all right. Unfortunately, the beans that I planted straight into the ground, the Bolotti beans, were discovered by the slugs, and they have been well and truly noshed. So I've got a few that have grown in the greenhouse to replace them. The original climbing beans that I put on our beautiful structure have done really well. They're growing extremely strongly now, and I did do a bit of successional sowing, so I've got some more beans coming through. I've got some yard-long beans, I've got some regular climbing beans, and I'm actually going to put a couple of runner beans in this week. John doesn't like them very much, but I thought I'd give them a try, just as a bit of variety, at least for me. Sweet corn's coming on incredibly well. My little sunflowers are doing well. Unfortunately, my strawberries, after all the hard work that I put in earlier on in the season, we've had practically no rain, and the berries need plenty of wetness to make the berries grow. Unfortunately, we haven't had any rain. This is down the end of the garden, so I'm afraid the hose doesn't really reach very well down here, and I seem to have just mostly gathered a very good crop of weeds. It's all lessons learned. Next year I know I will do things a bit differently. There'll still be a few strawberries, but probably not very many. The thistle patch is getting a few flowers on. Strawberries, the alpine strawberries, are doing quite well in there. Now, don't let anybody say that normal hens don't make any noise, because our chickens tend to greet me when I come along, just in case I have some food for them, and 1 or 2 of them like to announce very loudly that they've done an egg. So if you hear a bit of crowing in the background, it is our chickens. The beetroot is finally coming in nicely. I've actually just sown a few more in the greenhouse, so that we've got some successional sowing going on. I've also sown some more chard, because the perpetual spinach seems to simply perpetually bolt, I haven't had anything to eat off it yet at all. Not really very impressed with that, so I'm just going to stick with chard in the future, I think, because at least I know where I am with that. Unfortunately, the garlic has got really bad rust. Both sets of garlic have bad rust, and I don't quite know why, because I've been very careful about making sure that I bought garlic from a reputable supply from the Isle of Wight, so it should be guaranteed rust-free and, you know, all those sorts of problems. I didn't plant them anywhere that I planted alliums last year, but I got rust last year on my leeks, so maybe my garden's just prone to it. And I got to the stage I didn't want to take off any more leaves of the garlic, because they would have just ended up looking totally bare. I did pull one up to have a look and see how it's getting on, and the bulbs are forming fine, so I'm just going to leave them. My lettuces and a few herbs and a bit of salad leaves in this bed. The coriander is already bolting again, because we've had pretty much no rain at all, and I have to try and keep making sure they stay wet. I've sown a few more. I need to sow a few more lettuces so that I've got some successional sowing on the lettuces. Broad beans are finally beginning to swell. In fact, I think there might be one or two we could probably pick and eat. You can tell when they're ready, when the pods are quite large, and when you press them and you squeeze them between your fingers and thumb, then the pods feel quite tight and firm. So if there's much give in it, it means the beans have plenty of space still to grow, and you're probably better off leaving them to grow a bit bigger before you harvest them. My tomatoes out here, I mean, they are growing. We've got getting tomatoes on them. I've got ones at various stages and different types, so I know that that's a Provençal and probably some sort of a cherry tomato, and then the squat one is my Volcan star. I'm really pleased with my cucumbers. They seem to be doing well. I've got a squash that I'm not entirely sure where it came from. I think I inherited it last Halloween, but that seems to be doing well. It keeps trying to point in the wrong direction. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to persuade it to grow up that bamboo pole. Probably won't, to be honest. It'll probably end up flopping all over the ground out here, but fair enough. I'm also planting the little herbs that I'm growing on the windowsill, so I should end up with a nice succession of dill, basil, and maybe even some parsley. I'm quite pleased with that, actually. The saddest thing is my parsnips, to be honest. I have tried sowing them 3 times now, and as you can see, there's just a couple poking through, and that's about it. So I'll probably end up just leaving the ones that have grown, and I might plant something else in here as well. I've got a few carrots. I'm just leaving them. Who knows what they'll do. This is my pink banana squash, which is doing well. My dad always plants a squash on his compost, so I thought I'd give it a try. It's doing really well, apart from where the blackbirds come in and dig around, and I was quite worried to begin with that they was going to end up with no roots because of the blackbirds' enthusiastic throwing around of the compost, but it does seem to be looking okay now. Great jubilation. The potatoes are all sprouting. I need to earth up. I think in America they call it hilling, or hill the potatoes, but I need to earth these up. Every time the little green bits start sprouting out the top, I add another 15 centimetres or so of compost, and that way from where the original tubers are to the top of the bag, that's where all the potatoes should grow. So I should end up with a bag full of potatoes, which will be rather marvellous. The asparagus is just about done. On the 24th of June, we should always make sure that we stop picking the asparagus, and that gives it time for the anything that's still in there to grow, and then they get the flower spikes at the top, and then it means they'll be nice and strong for next year. We've actually done quite well for asparagus this year, so I think they've got a stay of execution. Greenhouse probably could do with a little bit of a tidy up, but you can see the chilies are doing well. My leeks really desperately need to be planted out. My cucumbers are doing well. all 4 of them. Interesting that my my experimental pots seem to be doing quite well. The plants in them are extremely healthy, and in fact you can see I'm getting flowers on this chili in my experimental pot. You can actually see that a lot of the tomatoes have been dreadfully scorched by the sun. I'm just leaving them in there for now, but I do have a few backup plants just in case they don't really work. The roses have been beautiful. I have to dehead them, and they'll probably come back with another flush. My peas, I'm really pleased actually. My dad gave me some Mange 2 pea seeds, so I've planted them, and I've put Mr. Ducky next to it just in case the pigeons decide to come and help themselves to the tops of the peas. He's not turning at the moment, but when the wind blows, his wings go in opposite directions. He's quite cute. Tomatoes are coming up. I have to say I think the ones that I planted later are looking much healthier and stronger. A couple of chilies across the back. The courgettes are coming on. I can see there's a little yellow courgette coming through. My rogue potatoes, I have to say, are looking really rather magnificent. I have a suspicion they're pink fir potatoes rather than anything else that I really like, so they'll be salad potatoes. But I haven't watered them, I haven't done anything to them all season, and they seem to be doing very well. At the front here, I'm quite pleased with this actually. These are the pea shoots that got away from me, so I didn't eat them, and I thought, well, I'll just plant them. So I've created this little structure, and they're growing, and they're even getting some little flowers on them. So I have no idea if they'll taste nice or if they'll be really sort of chewy and stringy, but it's quite fun doing it. And the little onions at the front are doing fine. It's quite a mixed bed, that. And we've made, I don't know how much in the way of rhubarb stuff, so I've got, I think, 6 gallons of rhubarb wine on the go at the moment. John made rhubarb jam. We eat rhubarb, and hopefully we're going to try making an amazing rhubarb pudding today as well, which I'm looking forward to. And just have a quick wander around here. The herb bed is looking absolutely nuts. The parsley has totally gone to seed, but I like it because it's nice to have little flowers on it. And I probably need to do something with all the mint and oregano because they're looking absolutely insane. But I just like it. It looks very verdant. So that's a quick wander around the garden. Today, the 8th of June. Remember, grow what you like, eat what you grow, and if you enjoyed this video, then please like it with a thumbs up, share it to all your friends and family or anybody else you think might like it, put it out on social media, subscribe and click the little bell for notifications so that you know when there's a new video out. So in the meantime, I say thank you very much and see you next time.